going to work today on 7.6, which is solving systems of linear inequalities today. So I told you at the beginning of this chapter, we're going to graph on the first section. We're going to do some graphing at the end as well. Here we are at the end. 7.6, solving systems of linear inequalities. Here I have two inequalities. Y is less than 3x and y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 1. And we're going to graph this system. In order to graph the system of two inequalities, we have to graph the two lines first, just like we did in 7.1. But with that now, we have to take into consideration what we did in 6.7, chapter 6, when we graphed just a linear inequality on the coordinate plane. For your mixed review that you did today, you had a little bit of graphic on the coordinate plane. I saw some of your graphs. Some of your graphs. Not everybody did those graphs. I'm going to pause for a moment because I want you to graph one of these inequalities first. I want you to graph the top one, y is less than 3x, and then stop, please. We want y is less than, that means below, so I just want you to draw a few little arrows along the way here to show ourselves. In a moment, we'll shade below, but we're not sure that we need all of it shaded, because this line is going to intersect with another line. And so I need a volunteer to come up and graph the other line. So the second line is a solid line with a y-intercept of 1 and a slope of negative 2, so down 2 to the right 1. And which side of this line should we decide to shade? Which side of this line should we decide to shade? Jack?
Above it.
Above it, why?
Because y is greater than.
Y is greater than. Okay, so I'm going to put little arrows that say above this line, like that. Now I want you to look at where the arrows are. Look at the area, the section, where they're all pointing to the same place. Are they all pointing in this section? No? Okay, I have an undo button here. We didn't want to undo it. Okay, let me erase that. Don't like that. How about up above in the V up here? How about to the left? No, the only place that they're all shaded is in this section right here. And you have a pencil, you're going to shade very nicely like we talked about in chapter 6. Okay. The only place that they're both shaded is the section where all the arrows point towards it. Now, I did this one ahead of time, so I'm going to show you my next frame. There's my shading. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So, it's all got to be shaded in. Now, don't shade real dark, because I don't want to end up being all black from your graphite pencil in the end. Just lightly shade is fine, please. So, when you get done shading, anything in the shaded area will be a solution to both of the inequalities. Okay, it's got to be a solution for the system, so it's got to be where those two intersect. Because technically, this one is here, and this one is here, and we only want the part that is both red and blue. Okay, you want the two shadings that are red and blue. Your book can do it very easily with different shades of gray, one on top of another, and that looks like a darker gray when you actually look at the answer. But we're going to just shade the one section that should be for both. Okay. Any troubles there? Not a tough idea, is it? Okay. Let's take a look at this one. 3 inequalities. Why don't you start graphing? Get your graphs down, get your little arrows down, talk to your partner about this. And then shade the section that you think should be shaded for these 3. Let's take a look at the 3 lines that we have graphed up here. we have a horizontal line at y greater than or equal to 0, shading above. We have an x is greater than -3, which is a vertical dashed line, arrows to the right. And then 2x plus 3y less than or equal to 6 is a solid line, and the arrows are down. Austin, how did you determine that the arrows are down on this one? What did you do to your equation? Thank you, Spencer. Did you graph x-y intercepts, or did you graph slope intercept?
Slope intercept.
Slope intercept. So when you rewrote this, you've got 3y less than or equal to 6 minus 2x, and y is less than or equal to 2 minus 2/3 x, right? So then we can easily see that it's a less than or equal to. For those people who may have graphed where my x-intercept was 3 and my y-intercept is 2, which are these 2 points right here that Austin's line does go through, then we could have chosen the point 0, 0 to put in. Remember that little trick? And that gave us a true statement. 0 is less than or equal to 6. So therefore, we want to shade the side that has the 0, 0 in it. Okay, so you have it. You have the idea of shading correct there, Austin. I just wanted to know how you did it. Okay. All right. Now we've got arrows going up. We got arrows going down. We got arrows going to the right. Your shading should be this little section right here. That is a triangle. Is that where your shading all goes into? It should, and that's my shading on that one. So, same idea. Any questions there at all? Okay. Then I have one here where you have to write out what the system of inequalities is. So you got to write down the inequalities. Why don't you talk to your partner on this one? There is one line that is vertical, okay, and there's one line that is diagonal here. And would you please come up with your system? Okay, and looking at all 3 pieces of information on the whiteboard. Is that what your paper has?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody agrees that we should have x is less than or equal to 3. And if you look at this, we have our solid line here, this red line, solid, and all of the shading is less than that. So it's to the left. So less than or equal to the 3, I can deal with that just fine. On the dashed line, interesting, we have 2 different slopes. One of them is 2/3, one of them is 3/2. We have the -1 as our y-intercept. So it's right here at -1, that's good. We always start out with our y-intercept. Then we need some number times x. Remember slope? Slope is the what over the what? Rise over run. So if I go, what is that? 2/3, or down this way becomes -2 over -3, which in the end gets us what for slope? Positive 2/3. So the 3/2, we got it upside down here. So we got a positive 2/3. And I need my y. The only other thing I need to have is my inequality symbol. Because it's a dashed line, I know it's either got to be what or what? Less than or greater than. Okay. And because it's shaded above, it must be greater than. So I'm going to write greater than half, which is what everybody up here in the end had their answers as on the whiteboard. That's wonderful. You need to look for the y-intercept. You need to look for the slope. You got to get those 2 things in. Then you can decide whether it's above or below or equal to or not. The y is sitting on the left-hand side. Life is good. Okay. Any questions there? I think that is it. That is all I have. So any questions at all?
I'm sorry, Bob.